Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So here in part 3, I'm going to clarify some things here. Obviously, they're changing my voice to try to make it so I sound gay or something. Focus on what I'm saying here. If you have to, see the transcript, the annotations, the subtitles, what have you. Okay, so first, people are hell-bent to play the game and to follow the devil through politicians. I'm not trying to get people to leave Bernie Sanders, and to do what is not smart, which is become a Republican or something. That's not the goal here. I'm not trying to bash Bernie Sanders, okay? When somebody has a lot of fame and power and influence and they're, doing things a certain way, it can be very logical to bring that person up and to explain where they're right and where they're wrong. That's what I'm doing here. No offense to anybody other than the offense that God intended. I agree that the top 1% have too much money. I agree that the economic distribution is outrageous. I believe that it is extremely outrageous that people aren't given adequate access to health care when there's things they can do to make the health care more affordable. On top of that, right? We're paying too much for drugs and stuff like this in this country. I believe that there shouldn't be homeless people on the streets in America. I believe everyone should be fed. I believe it's very easy and affordable to achieve that. I have various plans. I have a war on poverty plan. I have 10% redistribution plan over 50 years. Okay. I have a global farming plan. I have, plans to restructure the school system, startup company plans. I have so many plans that are very effective and very logical and foul-proof plans, foolproof plans. So I agree with Bernie Sanders on quite a few things. But again, I don't trust any politicians. Maybe he's a little bit more trustworthy than I think he is, but he's not a lot more trustworthy than I think he is. He's a politician. You cannot trust politicians. I'm a holy man, a man of God, a man who defines himself with universal pinpoint and moral precision. There's not a single group on this planet that has proven their allegiance to me. Not a single one. I'm somebody with no ulterior motives. If I was to rise to power, which in terms of in that worldly way where, people start following you, so on and so forth, and I'd never be worldly, mind you, but in that way, okay, I would obviously do the things that I say that I'm going to do, or that I say that I would do, rather. It doesn't take a genius to see that. Why on earth wouldn't I do that? I wouldn't have risen to power because of an allegiance to this group or that group. If the New World Order tried to play me as a puppet, what purpose would that serve? It wouldn't prove anything. So if you doubt me, what's the worst thing that could happen is that, the New World Order is ruling over you like they are right now. But to the agnostic, I'm the logical assumption in regards to who should be in charge. To the monotheistic person, it's clear. I'm someone who defines my martial arts with the universal pinpoint and moral precision. I make my arguments in a way that there's no doubt in the viewers' minds that I believe them and that my arguments are superior. Unless they're so stupid, there's no words for it. If they're that dumb, they probably wouldn't be able to find their way to my videos in the first place. Probably couldn't speak English in the first place, and so on and so forth. Say if they're from an English-speaking nation, what have you. Okay. When I talk about dating, I'm not a porn star, not a jock, not an erotic desire person. I'm a type of person that makes profound love, conveying focused moral intensity through my spirit. And I have the heart to live that. And I would never, ever dream of doing it a different way. Every aspect of my life. That's why I bring it up. I know it's kind of personal, but I bring it up to help you understand. I go that far to make sure you know that I'm right. Every aspect of my life involves conveying focused moral intensity. Involves conveying universal pinpoint and moral precision. Even when I'm tired, my soul is always like the sun. It's always intense. And my flesh might get tired, but I always do what is right. Especially where it matters most. And I always analyze the situation again and again. I have thousands of videos. I probably had like 17, 18,000 videos now. And making videos for 16 years. And I kept going forward. As uncontrolled opposition. My history is clear. They were fuming me and poisoning me, trying to get me to the psych ward, doing all kinds of underhanded things. And during that period, by the way, I happened to get a college degree. That sounds a lot. And once they realized that and they realized I was saying that and showing my degree, they were like, okay, we better back up, because he didn't just get a college degree. He got a degree in information technology. And even though I got that degree and spent all that money, I still focused on moral precision and not on information technology or computer science. Because I prioritize. Because I put morality above science. I put morality above money. I put morality above everything else. And the essence of moral precision is God. So when I look at this Bernie Sanders, and I say, he's right to be concerned with how people are treated. He's right to be concerned with the wealth distribution. I probably won't endorse any candidate. The one exception was Obama back in the day not because I believe he's perfect, no. Because I knew that this country needed a person of color to be president, regardless of white backlash. You know what white backlash does? It shows you that there's a bunch of racist people that need to grow up. It shows you a problem that people play stupid about. Now, all you people in white denial, you saw the backlash. You saw how they couldn't stand the thought of a person of color being president, especially winning twice, even if he's part white. That's a problem. It's in your churches. It's in your schools. It's in your dating sites. It's in your social media sites. It's in your communities. That's a problem. Look at it very carefully and ask yourself, why don't they have the heart to not be racist? Why can't they take things like a man? Why can't they treat people fairly? So when we look at this issue of Bernie Sanders and No Kings protests, you should be mad at Donald Trump and not me. You should not want Donald Trump to lead you, but you should want me to lead you. If I call myself the King, Pharaoh, Messiah, Savior, no matter what I call myself, Jesus, Horus, Chukwuemeka, which is my name. A lot of people call me John, historically is my middle name, but I'm not John the Baptist, I'm Christ. A lot of people call me Emeka, some people call me Emeka, and so on and so forth. Some people call me Mecca. I submit to God, but I'm not a Muslim in the Muslim system. But I am the Son of God. I'm not a Christian in any known Christian system other than mine, which is a transcendent, which is me being Christ. There's a difference between being a follower of Christ and being Christ. I'm Christ. If you interpret the Quran correctly, then I am also what they call Isa as well, if you interpret it correctly. There's a way to interpret the Quran in a way that's sound if you interpret it as a story with a moral, not as actual history. We don't know if Muhammad was a good person or a bad person. The evidence screams that he was outside the divine order. But that doesn't matter, because he's just a person. Is the Quran about Muhammad or is it about God? Do you believe Muhammad is equal or greater than the Son of God? If you think that, you're an idiot. Did Muhammad walk on water in the story? For those of you who take the miracles as being literal, and I don't, I've proven they're figurative, but those of you saw it that way. You saw it as this guy was doing miracles. He's walking on water, bringing people back to life, and you said things like, all prophets are equal. That's part of why a lot of people aren't Muslims, because that doesn't make any sense. There's a reason why Christians don't say Christ is equal to Moses, because Christ is the Son of God. And Moses was just a prophet, even though he split the Red Sea. But not only do you think that Muhammad, in your story, is equal to Moses, you think he's equal to Christ, and that's backwards. If you can't prioritize that effectively, what does that say about who you're choosing to lead you? Straightforward. You're letting mere human rules, customs, and traditions and labels determine how you claim to worship God, we'll say. How you quote-unquote worship God. Now, no offense, but it needs to be said. And if the Son of God cannot chastise Muslims, then they're not really Muslims. And I mean in their system. In their system, if the Son of God cannot chastise Muslims, they're not really Muslims, because what it means to be a Muslim means to submit to God. That's what it's supposed to mean. To put God before your assumptions on the interpretation of the Quran. How can you say to the Son of God that your interpretation of the Quran is greater than his? That's stupid. That's insane. Will you say that to God himself as well?